Hey, what's up everybody? This is Matt Brunhofer from Film Fad, and this week, the latest Chris D'Elia comedy Flock of Dudes opened nationwide in select theaters and on iTunes on Friday, September 30th, and I got the chance to interview the film's director, Bob Castrone, and I talked to him about the movie's origins, his background in the industry, and I even asked for some advice he could give to aspiring directors and writers out there. All right, cool. So, according to IMDb, Flock of Dudes is the first feature film you've directed, but you've mainly worked in television as a producer, writer, and director. How did you get your start there?
I started in TV production right out of college, working at MTV and then VH1. But in 2005, I started a website with Brian Levin and Jason Zumwalt called thepostshow.com, where we decided to put comedic shorts on the internet and hope that people wanted to watch online videos. This was right before YouTube. So we started it up, and then when people began looking to the internet for content, we already had 40 videos, poorly produced and shot videos, but kind of funny online, and that really opened up a lot of doors for us in the industry. We signed a deal with SuperDeluxe.com, which was part of Adult Swim and Turner, and began making online shorts full time. I was still working at Best Week Ever, VH1's Best Week Ever during the day, making the shorts at night, and ultimately the directing and producing and writing these videos kind of became a full-time job, so I was able to leave TV and come do that.
Oh, excellent.
So
excellent.
This is the longest answer, by the way, because that's like just the beginning.
It's totally up to you whether you're going to get the long or short answer. It's totally fine. So you're credited as a writer for Flock of Dudes alongside Jason Zumwalt and Brian Levin. How did the script of Flock of Dudes come to be and eventually get financed?
Well, it's been a crazy journey. We wrote the first draft in 2007 when we moved to LA. At the time, yeah, right. At the time, Brian and I were living together in New York when we started writing it. We were just a part of this group of guys that would go out, all the time, and our friends would show up, and then their friends would show up, and before we knew it, we were just, 12 dudes walking from bar to bar.
Yeah.
And we just realized how ridiculous we looked and how impossible it would ever be to have a meaningful conversation with a member of the opposite sex. So,
yeah.
we would joke about, leaving our friends and breaking up with them and that sort of thing, and that was really the beginning of the idea. Since that first draft, Flock has been, we wrote it completely on spec. It was, Imagine read it and came on board and helped develop it with us. Then Lionsgate optioned it, where we rewrote it for Lionsgate for a couple of years. When they decided they didn't want to make it, Lionsgate's micro-budget division stepped up and said they wanted to make it, so it almost happened there. And then finally in 2012, the rights reverted back to us, and we were still passionate about the project, so we decided to make it ourselves. At that point, we had more connections out here and a little more experience, so we were able to, rewrite the script and go find a producer, Aaron Kaufman, who helped walk us into a financier's office to get us the money to make the movie ourselves.
Excellent. And it is a fantastic script, and, as a writer myself, I'm a little jealous how good it is, to be honest.
It's been 500 drafts, I think.
No, I mean, that's what you got to do.
I don't wish that on anybody.
Nowadays, audiences don't really expect comedies to have a genuine heart. How were you able to inject such wonderful honesty and charm into the quirky and vulgar world of Flock of Dudes?
Oh, I like that question. It was definitely, well, I think just from a writing perspective, or just from a kind of movie, just from a writing perspective, I think you could put characters into any insane kind of quirky situation as long as their reactions are real. And I think that just kind of coming from sort of that base allows us to kind of have more ridiculous moments in the movie, but ground it in a way where the characters are more relatable and they're not kind of celebrating this absurdity in ways that nobody I know would ever celebrate certain things. making sure characters kind of were real, it also allowed us to kind of explore more of the relationship side of how people really feel about their friends or growing up or girlfriends or potential girlfriends. And that was always an important element of the movie to us. I think we've all, some of my favorite movies are The 40-Year-Old Virgin and Something About Mary, which are love stories that masquerade as big, throwy, dirty comedies.
But then they're more realistic on top of that, to be honest.
Right. Trying to do it at a studio, or at least when we were, trying to sell it to studios, or we were getting feedback from certain people around Hollywood, it's funny how quickly so many of them wanted to take the heart away before anything else, because it muddled what the movie was in sort of genre terms, at least for them, where they're used to dude movies being dude movies and rom-coms being rom-coms, and trying to have a dude movie with a romantic element that our guys are sort of kind of care about each other. It definitely confused some people, which is why I think ultimately we had to make it independently to make the movie we wanted to make.
Yeah. So, how was it directing this incredibly talented cast, which includes Hilary Duff, Ray Liotta, Eric André, and Chris D'Elia?
The cast as a whole, it was incredible. It was like our dream cast, being able to have so many hilarious comedians and great actors kind of working together and doing it. The scenes with all the guys together, it was a fun. It was like going on a ride where I had to remember it was my job to keep
definitely
the ride on track, because it was they would take it in places, because I wanted them to make the characters their own and kind of really say the words the way that they wanted to say them. But when you start letting them go, when you let some of the guys who are the best in the world at improv keep going, you never know where you're going to end up, which is sometimes you're 10 degrees removed from where you started, and other times it's perfect and you're hitting the sort of character jokes that you kind of want that to provide. But it was so much fun.
Yeah, it looked like a lot of fun. I'm not gonna lie, it looked like everybody was having a great time making the movie while they were acting in the movie.
The crazy thing about making this movie is we shot it in 18 days.
Oh, wow.
And it was an 18-day shoot, and we never had any rehearsals or chemistry reads or auditions. It was really, we got to set, Brett Gelman was cast the day before we started rolling.
Oh, jeez.
So it really was like trying to, I think what I kind of prioritized my job as was making sure they came off like friends that cared about each other, and giving them that opportunity to maybe we have to do a scene over and over again just so they can kind of find their characters in it, because we were figuring out who their characters were while we were rolling. So it was really kind of landing in the right places in 18 days and just with an insane schedule, 105 pages or whatever it was.
Yeah, it definitely worked out wonderfully. I can't give this movie enough praise, to be honest. I was generally surprised. I was I'm gonna check out this comedy. Comedies have been kind of weird lately and been up and down, and then I checked this one. I'm like, oh my gosh, I love how honest this movie is. It was real, and I could relate to it. I think that's probably my favorite part about it, was how I could relate to it.
I love hearing that. When you make something like this, you never know how it's going to go over.
For aspiring directors and writers out there, what's the biggest piece of advice you could ever give them?
For writers, I would say don't be precious with what you're writing. I think that Flock of Dudes taught me, how much a script evolves as you write it and rewrite it again for the 100th time. I meet so many writers who are scared to show somebody their first draft of their script, or they're nervous about, how to finish a script. And I think the best advice is just do it, show it to everybody you can, because you're going to rewrite 90% of it.
Yeah.
And then maybe when you show up on set, you'll lose a location and you have to rewrite it in that moment. Mm-hmm. So, which is just a real experience. So as long as I think yeah, just know that it's gonna know that it's like a living thing, and you're gonna keep on working on it, and never get too sort of in your own head about it. I think for writing,
Absolutely.
for directing, I don't know. I'm still figuring that out. You know what? I'll pass. How about this? I'll pass on a piece of advice I got.
Okay.
Which was always have an answer, because you're working with people who are coming to you with questions, and they want you to have an answer. Even if your answer isn't right, have an answer. It really helped when, because of course you don't know the answer to everything, but if somebody who's a professional in their field making movies is asking you a question and it's your first time answering that question, they still need you to answer it. So showing, indecisiveness or sort of not having a vision, I think, is more damaging than having a wrong answer.
So my last question is, do you have any future projects that you're excited about?
Yeah. We, Brian, Jason, and I have written a couple of other movies that we're excited to get out there now. We've been waiting for this moment. I'm the head writer of Not Safe with Nikki Glazer on Comedy Central, which is a show I'm super proud of. And hopefully we'll be coming back soon. And, just out there swing. You never know what comes next in this town.
Oh, yeah,
so
absolutely.
Just, I'm enjoying this moment.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's a very well-deserved moment. And on behalf of Film Fad, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to do this interview with me here. And once again, congratulations on Flock of Dudes.
You would be absolutely shocked how not busy my schedule is. But, thank you so much. And thank you guys for the review. I mean, that really, my biggest concern with the movie was just, making sure that, people kind of saw it for what it is. And, I know we're going to get people that don't get it, or kind of, snobbier movie fans that don't want this kind of movie in their life. But it's so awesome to, read a review like Film Fad's, and it just, really put us all in a good place.
Oh, that warms my heart. I'm sure it's going to warm my editors' hearts as well, so I will definitely pass that along.
Once again, I want to send out a big thank you to Flock of Dudes director Bob Castrone for sitting down with us here at Film Fad and answering our questions. Make sure to go check out Flock of Dudes, which stars Chris D'Elia, Eric André, Hilary Duff, Ray Liotta, and many, many more. It's in select theaters around the nation, and it's also available on iTunes. You can also check out my review of the movie at filmfad.com. Thank you for listening to this interview today. This is Matt Brunhofer with Film Fad, and I will check you guys later.